Can I ask Jahangir Mohammed to unmute himself? He's somebody who's takes a keen eye on what takes place in the world and keeps one eye on what the government's up to as well. He's also provided risk assessments across the UK to ensure that places of worship and businesses have been COVID-19 secure. So Jahangir, would you like to ask your question?
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, Mr. Burnham.
Good evening,
there's a good deal of concern in the Muslim community at the moment over events taking place in France and Austria, where anti-Muslim, anti-Islam propaganda is being perpetuated, and also anti-Islam laws which grossly interfere in the religion of Islam by telling Muslims what is Islam and what is not Islam, and targeting the whole community for the acts of one or two. Some of that is fueled by Middle East regimes who are supporting what's going on because they, the Emirates and Saudi Arabia in particular, who don't want any political change in their country, so they're determining that any kind of political Islamic movement is deviant and outside the fold of Islam. So the question here is, what can you reassure us that we won't have such a situation here where the government or politicians interfere in the Islamic faith and curtail our freedoms? There's a particular concern. I'm not sure if you're aware at the moment, there's a consultation that's going on by the government, which ostensibly is to do with faith engagement. I think it ends on Friday. It says it's about how the government engages with faiths, but when you look at the questions, they are not actually to do with that. Out of the 4 questions, one is to do with, is religion of any use? What are the benefits? And the third question is, what are the harms of religious practices and religion? So it looks like, and there's been a lot of discussion in the community, as if there's somewhere the government has some laws in its back pocket, which is going to introduce on the back of gathering this evidence about the harms of religion. So I just wanted to get your view on that and make sure that the Labour Party and our local council don't fall into that particular line of thinking.
No, absolutely not. So thanks, Jahangir. I mean, I don't know. I'll come back to that. I'll start with the sort of. I've seen what's been going on in France and some of the climate that Macron has created there. I mean, just to kind of go back, really, obviously, when we had our own kind of challenge here in 2017, you said that it's wrong that the actions of a few should be used to turn the people against the whole community. I was 2 weeks into my role as mayor at that time, but I did say frequently, you may remember, that the individuals who had responsibility for what happened at Manchester Arena in no way represented the Greater Manchester Muslim community in any way. The person who killed Joe Cox represented the Christian community in West Yorkshire. So I was really clear that is how we always must deal with those incidents. That you need to separate, as you say rightly, the individual causing the atrocity from those, and not allow the racists who will want to generalize across. And I think governments have to take great care in moments like this, that they don't allow, through their actions, they don't create a climate where they make it easy for the people who want to do that. And personally, I've always observed the way this debate goes in France, and I think they do that actually with some of their kind of measures and laws that they've proposed in different times. They have a kind of a fixed view of this, don't they, in terms of the secular nature of the French Constitution, and I think it's problematic. I would say, and I think, and this then comes to this country, and I wasn't aware of the consultation that you mentioned, but I will take a look at it as a result of this conversation. I mean, I think, you know, I would have plenty of reasons to attack the government, and you'll have seen recently I've not really been holding back on doing that from time to time. But I think on this question of freedom of worship and not interfering, I think, to be fair to them, I don't think their instincts would go into that sort of territory. And I certainly would hope that that wouldn't be the case for my own party too. But there's a need to be vigilant about these things. So I'd be very, very surprised if there is legislation lurking around of the kind that you fear. But I guess it's really important. Those are odd. I would concede those are odd questions to be asked. When you said the nature of the questions, I kind of like was surprised by the way those questions were framed. So yeah, it definitely does need a sort of a careful watch as to how that thing progresses. Just finally, and I've just mentioned this because it might be of interest to people on the call. We're conscious that in devolution in Greater Manchester, we need to improve the structure of the dialogue we have with different communities. So I think it was either today or it's tomorrow, one or the other. The first meeting of the Greater Manchester Race Equality Council will take place. So we've created a new body at the Greater Manchester level that is focused on race equality. We'd originally thought that we would make this a faith and race equality panel, but there was a feeling that we should separate those two things. So there will be a faith panel established in the new year, and I obviously would make sure that to this group we circulate details of that, because maybe some of the members of this group might want to take part. I mean, for my purposes, I see faith as an overwhelming positive contributor to what we're trying to do in Greater Manchester. You know, the amount of work that mosques have done around child hunger, homelessness, I mean, you name it, you know, it's massive. But that is also true of churches, synagogues. You know, the faith sector, I think, contributes in a massive way to the objectives of the city region. So, you know, that's where I'm coming from, and I want a panel at the GM level that allows concerns to be aired, and you know, both through the race equality panel and the faith panel. So that's what we're trying to do, you know, because I think I recognise when Nazir first asked for the first meeting I had with you, you know, it's the lack of dialogue at times causes, you know, sort of cross wires or confusion or, you know, lack of understanding on both sides, and you know, including on our side. And that's why discussions like this are important, but it's also important that there's a permanent place for those discussions at the Greater Manchester level. So, you know, I'm grateful for you bringing this to my attention. I hadn't noticed it, to be honest, with everything else that was going on. I would be surprised if there is what you might consider restrictive legislation coming, but you are right to be vigilant.